we were able to preserve U.S. hegemony through two things. And that's from the U.S. financial system, the SWIFT system, the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency. Well, that's gone out the window thanks to, this all these economic sanctions we placed on Russia. We gave them all the barrels we have, kept on blasting
Yeah.
it. Now Russia's economy is stronger than ever, and people like that, like you've mentioned that before. That
Yeah.
was something that the whole world saw, and it
Yeah,
just
right.
changed everything.
I think,
And
yeah,
then
right. That one is real clear. I mean, the economic warfare, it's just clear that the Russians won. Yeah, the U.S. very confidently and the EU very stupidly went along with the U.S. plan to destroy the Russian economy. And just look, I remember, who was it, Ursula von der Haven this is something that Alex Christoforou brings up a few times again, time and time again, in tatters and tatters. In other words, she was speaking about the Russian economy, that these sanctions would leave it in tatters. Now, I just came back from Russia yesterday, and again, all around you see signs of prosperity and growth. I was struck by the number of cranes, construction. There's new constructions everywhere. And then the old buildings, old historic buildings, are constantly being repaired. This is not a city that is getting run down, but it's just everywhere. They're expanding and they're improving and they're
revitalized.
Yeah, it's very clear. There's just the signs of prosperity everywhere. And they're doing that, while waging a war. This is, and doing that in spite of these killer sanctions that were the sanctions from hell, the sanctions that were just supposed to destroy Russia. And I think it's clear that the Americans thought they really were, and then the Europeans stupidly, believed the Americans, and the whole world saw this. They know what the West attempted to do, and it was such a failure that that's really stark. Now, with the war, because it is, let's be honest, I think there's no question that the Russians are winning, and they're winning, every day they're getting stronger, and every day the Ukrainians are getting weaker, and we're starting to see the beginnings of a collapse right now. But it has been a slow moving war. So people, again, who are not following it closely just are, left with a kind of a more of an indistinct impression about, relative military strengths. But with the economic, it's just clear. And so I think that explains a lot of the interest in BRICS. They saw, hey, Russia, they tried to bring down Russia and they couldn't. And hey, I think I want to be, and they're going after China now. And I think I want to be a part of this club. It looks like the winning club,
Right. Another thing that's just so frustrating watching Western leadership and Western foreign policy play out is they just keep doubling down on bad decisions. When it doesn't work, they just do it again. Every month
Right.
they're rolling out another
Round of
economic
sanctions.
sanctions.
Right.
And then on top of that, they froze $300 billion worth of Russian assets, just stole it, which everybody around the world that is holding, part of the Western financial system holding dollars is like, well, apparently the United States can just steal your money if you do something they don't like. The whole the foundation of our might is based on the fact that we're supposed to be the world reserve currency that is impartial, that is apolitical. This is a monetary system that's apolitical, that people can engage in free commerce as they see fit, and we're not going to just steal your money. And just, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I saw the EU Borrell announced that they're going to be confiscating the $1.5 billion of interest from the Russian assets and using it to finance the Ukraine war. It's insane. It's like, what are you doing? You're not hurting. You're not hurting Russia. You're hurting yourself. Yeah. We just have it's just so much self-inflicted damage. And it just amazes me. It's like, these are supposed to be smart people. I'm sure they are in their own regards, but it's amazing how they can get so tunnel visioned or just so part of, like, we have to be with the program, that they just keep going forward, even though, it doesn't take a genius to step back and say, hey, this isn't working. It's actually hurting you. The inflation's getting worse in Europe. Energy prices are going up in Europe. The people are, dollar reserves around the world are dropping. There's a new system being forwarded, the BRICS Plus. They're talking about making the whole new monetary infrastructure to abandon the U.S. dollar system. Just stop. Just, guys, just stop and think about it. And if you want to preserve your own might and your own hegemony, then stop, shooting yourself in the face with these economic decisions. I just can't wrap my head around it. And okay, so clearly the economic warfare, I think, has changed the world. And this is the thing, is this has just happened in 2 years. So I understand why a lot of people that aren't paying attention don't realize how monumental this is, because it takes a while for these global paradigm shifts to go into effect, and then people realize, wait, wake up one morning like, the world's different now. Can't quite put my finger on it.
Right.
But
well, again, if you're within the Anglosphere and you're consuming mainstream media, you really, if you're not the person who stops and really thinks hard about it, you probably haven't realized what's happened, even in the economic war, because it's been largely downplayed to a great extent. Russia's success. It does come through. I mean, if you search, and especially in some of the more serious highbrow magazines, you will find acknowledgments of the failure of the sanctions and the success of the Russian economy. But it's always in an article where there's a lot of spin and a lot of smoke, and if you're not really disciplined and trying to pull out the most important facts, you can go through that article. Maybe you got that fact somewhere, but then there will be all kinds of other things, and at the end you feel, but we're still simply the best. And Russia, maybe they got their economy is doing right now, but it's on the verge of collapse, just like the Chinese economy, which has been on the verge of collapse for the last 25 years, apparently.
Right. It's as someone that lived in China for 10 years in Shanghai, it's not collapsing anytime soon. But okay, so we have the economic warfare, but then that's the largest pillar of U.S. hegemony was the ability to sanction countries and destroy them, to have this financial might, to have the dollar system. That pillar, it's down, it's chopped. The other remaining pillar is the U.S. military might, to preserve U.S. hegemony, to say that the U.S. rules the world. And in my opinion, that pillar's gone too.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
Ukraine war has brought down both of these. Okay, to a large, maybe not 100%, but it's greatly diminished. Okay, we can at least agree that. I think, and if it's greatly diminished, then in a sense that it's no longer a supporting pillar of the U.S. hegemony. Like it's gone. I just think people need to realize that, and I've come to that realization. Cope with it however you want to cope with it, but the U.S. empire is declining, and people feel it in their bones. But it's over, and there's no turning it around. So what we have to do is we have to integrate in part of this new world, which is a better world. It's a multipolar world. We don't want to have to be up there at the top trying to kick everybody down that doesn't want to go along with the U.S. system. As long as they're not bothering you and invading you and causing harm, then it's fine. It will be better. Think of what benefit has the average American citizen really gotten from having the largest military in the world? Going around wasting all this money. What it's gotten us is $35 trillion of debt, and it's got a lot of people around the world that hate us. Hasn't been a good thing. Right. I'm not, not saying it's not important for countries to have a strong military, but have one that stays in your country and protects your country and helps your country. Why are we gallivanting around in Southeast Asia or in the Middle East and bombing in countries Americans can't tell you anything about?
Right.
And one of the things I hate
and just to, I think it needs to be pointed out, contrast that, there's all this hatred that's directed at Russia. But they're fighting a war right on their own border on territory that's inhabited by Russian speakers of people who identify strongly with Russia. They're not on the other side of the world, trying to overthrow a regime. This is something that clearly concerns them deeply and has, it's a matter of tremendous importance. And for them, it's an existential matter. And we can't say that about Iraq or Iran.
Right.
or any of the countries that we, this is kind of a separate issue, but I just thought I needed to bring that up.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the most infuriating things that people say when you hear about us, like, oh, we got to go over to Iraq or Libya or wherever, say we got to fight them over there so we don't fight them here. It's like, how stupid are you? Like that if somebody makes that argument, it's just like, I don't. Are you serious? You're worried that some people in Afghanistan are going to, what are they going to do with their Navy roll over into New York City? It's like,
the Afghanistan Navy, everybody knows about.
But it's in what you're doing though by going over there. I don't think
there's a body of water large enough to support any kind of naval vessel in all of Afghanistan.
Right. But anyway, but people say that. I hear it on Fox News. We got to fight them over there, so we don't fight them over here.
Yeah.
And just to understand, realize that.
Yeah. No, it's a dumb idea.
Killing all these people over in these other countries, our military government, that's what creates terrorism. That's what creates people that want to come to our country and do some real damage. It doesn't mean that, they do that, now we got to kill more villagers over there. No, you're instantly creating more and more enemies around the world. So just stop. Just stop it. And, this is the scary thing, is that the MIC is such a big machine that it can't stop. Too many people are getting their pockets lined that they just got to keep it going. That's why we have this forever war. So let's see. It's when it's going to have to hit something and come to have a reality check, and we pull these bases back. Let's hope we don't kill a lot more people in the process. That's the only thing I'm worried about. It's better to. It's not a defeat to go back home and take care of your own country and your own people.
Yeah, right. It's actually just a return to normality, or as Pat Buchanan would say, we're a republic, not an empire. Let's stop. Let's give up on the empire dream and go back to being a republic. That's what we started as.
Right. That's America.
Right. That
we
was
were
actually the initial
non-interventionist.
Right. That was the initial American vision. We don't go searching for monsters to slay, to paraphrase Adams.
Right. We need to go back to what America's supposed to be. America got hijacked by the military-industrial complex, by the neoconservative movement. This foreign policy just is destroying us, and we're going along with it, and it felt cool and great at first, After the Cold War, I can see that because you had a pure adversary you could justify it. But anything after the Cold War, it's like, what are we doing?
Right. And then, we had our unipolar moment, the 1990s, basically, where we didn't have any rivals, and so we could really just get away with murder, with invading other countries, and China and Russia weren't strong enough to do anything about it. But that's changed, and as we can see. I think Ukraine was the wake up call. It's just like, again, we were still living in the 1990s, and the Russians kept on warning us. They say, hey, we're serious about this, right? Really, you cannot go into Ukraine. You cannot do that. We're not going to accept that. But we seem to believe that we're still in the 1990s, where we could do whatever the hell we wanted to do, and tough luck. You just have to put up with it. And then we got this war. So that was a huge slap in the face. It could be, if we were more rational, that would have been the time to, open our eyes and say, okay, yeah, we're not in the 1990s anymore. We made a mistake. Let's make a deal and walk away from this. If we'd done that, like back in March or April of 2022, there are a lot of people who would still be alive today that are not.
Right. And U.S. power would be greatly preserved. Yeah. If we didn't do these
Europe would be in much better shape.
Right.
Yeah. Right. We've gone down the wrong. We've taken the ball and we're running the wrong way down the field.